It really is amazing, Max, to like 100% is so incredible. I've never, with any of our students, we've had another student that also got 100% this year, but otherwise, this is just such an amazing score. I've never seen anyone at Sheridan score this. So there's one guy in my year I know that got 100%, but he had he had a previous life in like children's book illustration, so he was kind of doing this as like an extra, like he had already been working in the field. So I was like, wow,
Right.
okay, that makes sense. But you're coming from high school, right?
Yeah. I graduated from high school in 2019, and this is my second gap year that I've just been spending, doing jobs, working. I didn't go to any like specific art classes, unless you count, with the American public school system. I didn't
Yeah.
do animation portfolio workshop or anything like that. I just worked a lot.
Yeah, good for
Yeah.
you.
Thank
That's
you.
yeah, such an amazing and also the cutoff this year was crazy. Like I
Yeah, it
remember
was
just
95 for internationals and 89 for domestic.
all right. So basically, I love doing these interviews just because I have my own ideas about what they like to see in the portfolio, but Sheridan and the proof is really in the pudding, I guess. Like whatever is actually getting the highest scores, that's where I'm like, all right, great, this is the benchmark that we're going to use to compare and revise our courses and continue learning ourselves and how to advise students. So I just kind of like to get a sense of what your experience was, but
Okay.
first I would love to hear like why are you applying to animation? What kind of first sparked your thoughts about going here?
Well, it's like I can't do anything else. This is like this is what I need to be doing. Like
Yeah,
having peers that inspire you instead of make you not want to work somewhere is very nice.
yeah,
Having peers with similar interests with you it's amazing. As for animation, it was like ever since I was a kid, it was just something that I really attached myself to, making videos. And it was probably like, honestly, the thing that made me want to get into making cartoons was probably like Newgrounds, honestly.
oh, amazing, wow.
Yeah, like Zach Hadel, Psychic Pebbles. He has a successful Adult Swim pilot now, and he's one of the original animators that got me into got me interested in making cartoons. But that's really cool. But
Yeah, that's awesome.
as for Sheridan, it was like well, last August I was in another Bachelor of Fine Arts program at an American school, and it was really awful. And I was able to get out, but I was able to drop out before I had to pay any tuition, which is great. But
Yeah,
it was really alienating, and I didn't like it. And I was just looking at other animation programs. I saw Sheridan. I joined the Discord server, and I actually felt like I had some sort of an understanding with the other applicants. Like we shared the same values for art, and it felt
yeah.
like it felt
That's the Sheridan Hopefuls Discord server, right?
yes.
Yeah, awesome. That's
It
great.
was, yeah. I really thought that I connected with people a lot better.
Awesome. That's so great. And do you have any idea where you might want to, like, I know this is very early and you're just got in, and but where, if you were to put yourself somewhere in the spectrum of kids TV shows, feature film animations, or gaming, do you have any, like, in that spectrum, do you know where you might want to, which one is closest to you?
I think that like television and like series animation would probably be where I want to go. I don't know. It seems like it's kind of in the sweet spot of like like short form content, but it's still high enough quality where people can really afford to experiment. And especially with how streaming services work now, there's a
Yeah.
lot more opportunity for smaller creators to get their ideas out there, and I really do value that. So it's probably going to be in more that direction.
Cool. Yeah. So you even like the idea of like, you want to make your own content, kind of like you value the small to medium scale maybe versus the larger scale studios, in that they maybe have a bit more, you could get your voice heard a little bit more in that kind of world.
Right. Yeah, I feel like I think that's it basically. I feel like smaller creators have more of a chance, and like but basically it. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, let's have a look. So again, everyone potentially watching this in the future, 100% portfolio here, truly remarkable. Really, really great benchmark to compare other portfolios to. So let's start with the beginning, I guess. So figure drawing. So this was one of your longer figures, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And okay, so these are the two still ones, or
yeah, these are my two long figures. Google Drive has it sorted weird, but yes, these are my two long figures, and then my two short figures are there as well.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, very, very clear. You don't have, it's not too busy. You've worked it up a nice amount, it seems like there's not, you don't have extremely dark outlines that obscure any details or any forms, but it's kind of brief enough that you haven't like labored muscles or bones too much. It's kind of just the right amount of movement, that, especially in animation, that they tend to like to see. So in terms of your process for, developing your figure drawing skills, how were you able to kind of build this?
Oh God. I try to be consistent with my practice. You'll see a lot of people when they're talking about figure drawing that you have to do this allotted amount of figure drawing per week. And I think that it's a more accurate statement would be just try to do it as consistently as you can.
Yeah.
And, try to focus on what you need to improve on. Learning about anatomy does help, and learning about the shapes that you can associate with anatomy helps, especially for long poses and short poses as well. But understand the intent of the pose, like how they're leaning, the action that they're doing, what direction they're moving in, how their weight is shifted, and learn how to apply that to your line quality. How to apply that to the angle of your limbs that you draw. That's more of a short pose thing, because in long poses, you're essentially going for more accuracy and structure.
Yeah, you have more muscle detail, more little indications of form, like the forearm muscle there, the middle line there, hips, etc., knees.
Yeah.
One thing that I like is that your muscles and more fleshier parts feel distinct from the parts that have very noticeable bones, like the knees, the ankles. Any structural bit feels like it's treated differently, and it should be, right? It is a different thing. It's a different kind of structural point.
Right.
That's great. And here's your hands.
Yeah, I looking back at these, I kind of went a bit overboard with the contrast. I think it kind of because you told me about like the trick with turning colors to alpha, and then for the sketchbook, and then I sort of applied that to my hands as well, but I took it a bit too far.
Oh yeah,
and the lines are a bit
you might have lost some of the understructure, I guess, is what you're
exactly. Yeah.
But, well, it didn't seem to matter.
So they seem to like it. So works for me.
And you have so you have an inside of the palm and a backside of the palm. So I've heard that they like to see that variation too. So that's
yes, I do think that they do like to see that. I mean, you of course with rules like that you are going to find exceptions to that rule, but I think that to be safe you should try to do the front and the back. For me, I liked some people will like to connect the palm to the fingers to the palm, just where they connect to the palm, but especially for the front facing hand, I connected the fingers all the way to where the joints were, just because that's easier for me to understand the actual solid structure of the hand, because there's less room for error.
That's a really good way to think about it. Yeah.
And it's easier to get the proportions right, as long as you are sure to, as long as you focus on making sure that, you know, the fat pads on the hands are accurate and they can actually see, yes, this bone goes all the way to the back of the hand, and there's, you know, fatty tissue on the front of the palm, and just explaining that is, it made sense to me.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, let's have a look at the character. It is funny
how character rotation is not in order. Apologies.
Here first. So this is this. Love the uniqueness. I remember seeing this guy when I was reviewing your work, and yeah, really, really fun, unique character. This is the beauty shot in my mind. The 3/4.
Yeah, good balance. We love asymmetry.
Yeah.
As for character rotation, you know, find ways to make sure that your form is accurate, be it through, you know, I saw people making actual physical models of the basic pose of their character. For this character, just to get the like posture right and consistent, I just took photographs of myself and used that for reference to see how the weight is distributed and how the forms connect.
That's a really great idea. I didn't even think of doing that when I was applying, so that's awesome.
It worked really well for me. Like it was, especially with a back 3/4 view, it's really hard to wrap your head around. Wrap your head around getting the forms accurate in that pose. It doesn't rotate perfectly. Like the feet don't rotate perfectly, but it looks a lot more aesthetically pleasing this way than if it was like 100% accurate, because, you know, when you're trying to make it 100% accurate, you can get like tangents and, you know, just like not great looking negative space or something like that. So making adjustments, making it a little bit less real for aesthetic quality is generally a good decision.
That's great. I always feel that way, that, like, you know, the design trumps realism. You need to realize when you need to change the pose based on what's going to work better, what's going to look more like your character. The funny thing is, sometimes, you know, what is the 100% accurate isn't what makes it look the most like your character. It's a weird mental trip to kind of put yourself through, but I try to emphasize that as much as possible. So that's great. You have a really unique looking character too, so you must have kind of thought, like, how can I stand out? You know, there's so many characters being submitted. What can I choose to kind of be unique here?
This was this character was just, you know, a character that I doodled in my sketchbook a lot. I've been trying to like figure out how to make appealing shape design, and this character is kind of the product of that. Trying to build up big, medium, small, you know, good shape language, etc. And so I had that character design, and I adjusted it to make it more adequate for character rotation. Like I added actual eyes with pupils, because I'm pretty sure that's I've heard, you know, rumors floating around that they do like to see characters with actual eyeballs and pupils. Just so that it's actually rotating and not just like dot eyes or void eyes, which is what he used to have, but I eventually changed it.
Great idea, because you have more flexibility with these eyes, for one. You know, like if dots are moving around in an animation, you can kind of see that they're looking a different direction, but without the context of the eye socket and the eyeball, you know, it's hard to be clear about that. And also, it could be seen as a way of avoiding the labor of figuring out the structure of the eye. So I guess you avoided that nicely. So that's great. Let's move on to layout.
Layout, advice for this.
I think we might be.
Your first concern should be composition. Interior layout, I did not focus on composition at first, and I focused on the structure at first, and that it made changing, because my composition wasn't very good at first. So it took a lot of work to actually make it a more appealing composition, because I had already spent so much time on building a structure. So I would focus on building an appealing composition first.
I see.
For this one, I built the cabin first, and then I thought about the composition where objects should be in the scene, and that wasn't a great idea.
Yeah, you made it work.
I looked at the Procreate time on that one, and it was 28 hours. So don't be like me, be efficient. And exterior layout was a lot easier, because it's more like, because it's organic objects, of course. So you have a lot more leeway in terms of what you can break, in terms of, building a better composition. Advice for this, for interior layout, it's a bit hard to like figure out how you want to portray objects in your scene. But, for exterior layout, you can type force viz dev into Pinterest and get like 6 million results. So understanding how other artists decide to portray and distill, more importantly, trees and bushes and rocks.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
When an object moves into that's really important to take of your objects while still making them read as. I mean, for this, the only mountains. So this isn't super upending how draw objects.
Yeah. Shoot, we're getting some latency issues on Zoom. I think I got most of that. Just like, we're just lagging a little bit, but that's Zoom. And you mentioned you're rural, right? You have rural internet.
Apologies.
It's all right. We'll see. Maybe it'll.
Yes, that is correct. I am very rural. I'm just opening up my task manager to see what's taking up bandwidth.
It's actually it's back on now. I can see it and hear you.
We're good.
So, yeah.
Excellent.
Okay, so let's. In the storyboard, the mighty storyboard that conquers many.
Yes.
So as someone who got perfect on the storyboard, what tips for this one?
Have a purpose with each frame, and try to push what you're trying to convey as much as you are physically able to. Like in the third panel, the original shot, I can actually upload it to that folder right now, but the original shot was very flat and very boring. And that
camera.
It was just a flat camera. There wasn't really a lot of there wasn't that foreshortening that you see in the arm going to the keys. But I thought, if I wanted to push an emotion with this, and that emotion was anticipation, because obviously it's a storyboard or whatever, so there's going to be a twist, there's going to be some suspense in that. So I decided to foreshorten his hand, putting the keys in. Let me upload that.
That's great.
I do not have it, but anyway.
You have a lot of diversity of shots too, eh? Like you have a long shot, a medium shot, almost a close-up, basically a close-up in that panel 3, and then another long shot. Almost over-the-shoulder shot, panel 4, of the actual opposing character, but then a long shot of your own character. So you've got a nice variety of shots too.
Sorry, I got a little bit distracted trying to find it, but I couldn't find it. It wasn't on my computer, but
that's all right.
Yes, diversity in your shots is important. You'll usually see like the high-scoring storyboards will usually have one shot that's kind of like out there and not really standard, like a close-up shot, an up shot, something like that. And I tried to put that in my third panel, and I was sort of debating whether or not the fourth panel should have the possum in that far away from the camera.
Yeah.
Because it's far away from the camera. It's kind of unclear what's happening.
Yeah.
But I thought it fit the scene well. Having him far away from the camera to like help convey the comedic effect of this shot or whatever, and more importantly, having the antagonist looking back like that and emphasizing that this was intentional. He was trying to hurt this guy and steal his money or whatever. Just having intention like that is very important.
Nice. And any tips for keeping on model with a possum?
Keeping on model. The possum is kind of frustrating because the internal forms don't always seem super clear, but you can don't try to deviate super far from the poses that are given on the model sheet, because that's more room for error. It's a model sheet. They aren't super interested in how you interpret it, how you interpret the character, I guess, because it's a model sheet. You're supposed to be following it perfectly. It's not something that they want you to be super creative or original with.
And I mean, they didn't even give you an open mouth shot, or like there's a lot of missing things that could have been included as well, right?
Right. It's trying to figure out how to make changes to the character and keeping it as innocuous as possible and as accurate as possible, so that it doesn't look like it's off model. And I feel like I kind of messed it up a little bit in the first panel. That doesn't like the head forms don't really read to me, but I guess it was innocuous enough where it wasn't that big of a deal. Rotating this guy is kind of a pain.
Many people don't love the possum.
It's better than the clown, I will say that. It's better than the clown.
That's great. All right, let's have a look at your last one, the animation.
The animation, I had a lot of fun with this one. This is a very simple rig. For making the model, I just put the model sheet in Blender and just modeled over it and just traced it. It's a model sheet. They want you to be as accurate as possible, of course.
Right on.
So the rig for this is Blender has bendy bones now, so it's just you have 2 points and you parent that armature to the object, and it will maintain, no matter how much you stretch it, it will maintain the internal volume. It will keep the twist accurate. It'll keep everything together. And so I only had to animate the location and rotation of 2 points for the body. We had of course, we have the parent control bone for the bottom, and we have the top bone for the rest of it. And then the antenna was just one more bendy bone that just that wasn't complicated. It was just rotating back and forth. I don't have any side motion with that. Considering it's just jumping forward. But
I see.
Getting good acting is I feel like they do also want to see that. If you just try to make it have some sort of mannerisms, I guess, is a plus. Getting your volumes consistent. Getting your movement movement to be convincing is also obviously very, very important for animation. That's what they want to see. And so just understanding, how jump arcs work, how timing with jumping works is very important. Especially when it's like such a simple model. There's such a simple character. There's not really much that you can do with it other than making it like jump or something. You
are the only one that I know, Max, that has done it in 3D. So well done. That was a great way to kind of stand out. And it's nice that you've done enough research on your own to kind of have known how to do that, because many people find 3D so intimidating.
Thank you.
That's a great way to stand out for sure.
It's good to understanding keyframe animation helps you understand, frame by frame animation. Understanding frame by frame animation helps you understand keyframe animation a little more.
Yeah.
They both sort of help each other out.
Yeah.
And
Amazing.
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's great. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing your portfolio with us. It's always nice to see it after when all the anxiety is gone and you've kind of found out that you're all good, and man, are you you are
Yes,
you're
sir.
very, very ready to be in this program. So that's
Yeah,
really cool.
I'm very excited. Like having these people as classmates is like, I'm very excited. I'm going to steal all their powers.
It's going to be very different than high school when
Oh God, yes.
in the classes. Yeah, that's great. So any last overall tips about like planning, time management, or any resources that you'd like to share?
Resources. There's a ton of YouTube channels for figure drawing. There's a ton of online resources you can find for figure drawing that are just like images. Rationing out each entry into bullet points and tackling them one by one so that you actually have some sort of idea of what you're doing that day, what you've accomplished that day. That's why I have this whiteboard. It was just full of each of the items, what I had to do with them.
Yeah.
Critique obviously is great. I will absolutely recommend your portfolio critique because I think that was very conducive to me getting a high score. So thank you very much for that.
Awesome. That's great. I'm glad it helped.
Yeah, getting critique obviously is very important. As for motivation, don't just look at the accepted portfolios, also look at what the current students are working on. Look at their demo reels, look at the projects that working on, because that's going to motivate you a lot more than just looking at accepted portfolios.
Amazing. Yeah, that's a great piece of advice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like seeing current students working on projects that you'd like to work on is like, I have to do this,
Yeah. Awesome. It keeps the fire burning.
Yes, sir.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, awesome. Thanks so much, Matt, for chatting with us. And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure lots of your pieces of advice are gonna help people. So that's awesome.
I hope so.